What's a tragedy that eats you up inside? When I was 16, my little brother Caleb called me at my friend Austin's house. Caleb was only 13 and his voice was all shaky and quiet. "Dan, Dad's drinking again. He's really mad. Please come home." I was literally 3 blocks away, and my first thought was to sprint there as fast as I could. But here's the thing. Nobody tells you about living with an alcoholic parent. Every time I tried stepping between Dad and Caleb, it just made everything worse. Dad wasn't always like this. Before Mom left 2 years earlier, he used to build furniture in our garage and whistle old country songs while he worked. He'd teach us how to use his tools and take us fishing on weekends. After Mom packed her bags and moved across the country without even saying goodbye, Dad turned into someone I didn't recognize. The whistling stopped. The fishing trips ended. Instead, he'd come home from work with a case of beer and sit in his recliner until he passed out. On bad nights, when Caleb accidentally left his backpack in the living room or made too much noise getting a snack, Dad would explode. My friends always told me to call the cops, but they didn't understand. If Child Protective Services got involved, they'd split us up. Caleb would end up in some foster home with strangers, and I'd probably age out of the system before we could be together again. I couldn't let that happen. Caleb was all I had left. So that night, instead of running home like my gut told me to, I stayed on the phone with him. "Just lock yourself in our bedroom," I whispered. "I'll stay on the line with you until Dad falls asleep." We shared this tiny room with bunk beds we'd had since we were little kids. It was the only place in the house that felt safe anymore. But then Caleb went quiet. I kept saying his name, but the line went dead. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I grabbed my bike and pedaled home faster than I'd ever ridden in my life. But when I turned onto our street, I saw the red and blue lights. 3 police cars were parked outside our house. An ambulance, too. My neighbor, Mrs. Garcia, was standing on her porch in her bathrobe, and when she saw me, her face went white. "Daniel, honey," she said, but I was already running toward the front door. A paramedic caught me before I could get inside. Through the kitchen window, I could see blood on the corner of our white kitchen counter. The same counter where Caleb and I used to eat cereal before school every morning. The same counter where he'd sit and do homework while I made us mac and cheese for dinner. The cop who talked to me had kind eyes, but his words felt like they were coming from underwater. Dad had been drinking all day. Caleb tried to run to our bedroom like I told him, but Dad grabbed his arm. When Caleb pulled away, Dad shoved him harder than he meant to. Caleb fell backward and hit his head on the sharp corner of the counter. The sound his skull made, the cop said, was what made our neighbor call 911. They took Dad away in handcuffs that night. I watched through the back window of the police car as they loaded him up, and for a split second, he looked like my real dad again. Scared and sorry and completely broken, but it was too late for sorry. Caleb spent 3 days in the hospital before he woke up. 3 days where I sat in that uncomfortable plastic chair next to his bed, holding his hand and promising him things would be different. The doctors said he had a severe concussion and some swelling in his brain, but that he'd be okay, physically, anyway. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he said was, "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you," like it was his fault, like any of this was his fault. Dad got 5 years for child endangerment and assault. Caleb and I went to live with our aunt 2 states away.